Welcome. In this short video, I'm going to guide you through the proper troubleshooting procedure for a faulty integrated furnace control, or IFC. The integrated furnace control is the brain of many gas furnaces, controlling multiple functions within the furnace. To begin with, we're going to click on the thermostat icon here at the bottom right of the page. We're then going to click the system selector switch to heat, which will also turn up the temperature setting. Now you can use the procedure guide here again at the top. On the top left, if you click on that, it'll walk you through each step in this troubleshooting procedure. The first thing I like to do is go back to the furnace itself and see which electrical loads are actually operating. This can really narrow our focus. So we're going to click on the furnace icon here at the right. And if you follow the troubleshooting procedure guideline over here, it tells us that we need to remove the furnace cover and tape the door switch in. So we're going to click on the cover of the furnace, and just above the IFC, which is here, we can see the door switch. The door switch actually interrupts power to the IFC in the furnace when the door is removed and is an important safety consideration. However, if you're going to be making some voltage checks inside the furnace, you're going to need to tape this door switch in to ensure the furnace receives power. So we're just going to click on it and tape door switch in. Next, do we have any electrical loads running? Well, if we look, we don't. The first thing that should come on upon a call for heat from the thermostat would be the inducer motor right here. And it's not running. Unless the inducer motor comes on, the pressure switch here will not close. If the pressure switch does not close, the igniter will not glow, and of course no ignition. So we're going to follow our procedure guideline here and see where it takes us. So we've done this. Next step is to go to step 3, which is to check for power to the unit. Now this means, do you have 120 volts being received by the IFC? These locations where the power comes in are as follows. The line voltage, or the hot line, comes in right here from the door switch to terminal E13, which is clearly labeled here on the IFC. The other connection is the main neutral connection, which is here on the right side of the IFC at the top where this white wire is. So what we're going to do here, we're going to measure for 120 volts here, taking the volt-ohm meter out of the toolbox, or the digital multimeter. We're going to set the selector dial to AC volts, and we're going to place each of the meter leads on these two locations. Now again, you can use the magnifying glass on the procedure guideline to center the IFC in your field of view and to make it a little easier to place your leads. So we're going to click on the red lead, and it doesn't make a difference which lead goes where, and we're going to place the lead on this terminal here coming from the door switch, which is our hot wire, and we're going to place the black lead on the neutral connection over here at the top right of the IFC. And as we can see, the IFC is in fact receiving 120 volts. So we don't have a problem with a breaker, we don't have a problem with a service switch, and we don't have a problem with the door switch. Our problem has now been narrowed down to either the transformer not sending 24 volts, possibly the thermostat contact's not closing, or possibly the IFC is malfunctioning, or the inducer motor is faulty. Again, you can use the wiring diagram tab up here in the top right to review each of these components on the diagram. So our next step with the troubleshooting guideline is to check for 24 volts at the R and C terminals on the low voltage terminal strip. So we're going to place one of the leads on the R terminal, and the black lead is going to go here on the C terminal. This is going to verify 24 volt output from the transformer, which is up here, and that 24 volts is sent to the R and C terminals. That 24 volts is then sent to the thermostat through this red wire. Our next step is to check for 24 volts at the W and C terminals. This will verify that the thermostat contacts are closed and that 24 volts is coming back through the W or through the white wire. So we're just going to move from red, or R, to white, or W. And as we can see, we've got 24 volts here. This verifies that the thermostat's functioning, and at this point the inducer should be running. We've now got it narrowed down to either the inducer or possibly the IFC. Using the procedure guideline, we can see that the inducer fan is not running. And again, you can click the magnifying glass. There will be a blue spinning arrow on here, as well as sound if you have your speakers up. So our next step is to check to see if we're receiving 120 volts at the inducer motor. So we're going to take our meter leads and we're going to place them across the hot spots. It may be necessary to rotate the inducer to locate the connection points. Sometimes these connection points are back at the IFC. Now, as we can see, we've got 0 volts going to the inducer, which means one of two things. Either the integrated furnace controller, IFC, is malfunctioning and not sending 120 volts to the inducer, or possibly we've just got a loose connection, which is fairly common. What I'll do first is click on the connection points and just tighten them to make sure that the connections are tight. And this states that terminal's already tightened, and we're going to tighten this connection here, and that terminal's already tight. At this point, we can assume that the IFC is not sending power to the inducer. If we follow these wires back, the black and white wires, they go back to a plug within the IFC. So there is a malfunction at this point in the IFC. Our next step is to replace it. So I'm going to click on the furnace just to get it centered in my field of view here. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit, click on the IFC, click replace. This is $300. We're going to proceed. And as you can see, this corrects our problem. Now listen, to get your 5th star, very important you do a number of things here. First, let's store the meter back in the toolbox. We need to untape the door switch. Click on the door switch and click remove tape. Next, we want to replace the cover on the unit. Simply click on the cover to replace it. Turn the power back on to the unit by clicking on the service switch. And last but not least, look around for the broom so you can clean the work area. This will get you your 5th star. Good luck.
Hey, it is Craig with Interplay Learning. We hope you enjoyed this last video. The easiest way to keep up with all of our latest videos is by subscribing to our page right here. Just to let you know, if you're interested to learn how simulations are critical to onboarding and improving you or your employees' performance in the field, please visit us at interplay-learning.com.